My name is Thomas, and you're watching Swords to Podcast. Thanks for watching.
Cowabunga! Welcome to Swords to Podcast. My name is Adam.
And my name is Thomas, and today we have our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pre-release guide. Adam, before we get into it, what are your just initial thoughts on the set? I know when we were looking at some cards, you had some comments.
I mean, look, it's no shock to everybody that I'm not super hot on this set. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is an IP that I'm not necessarily familiar with. You know, I watched a lot of it as a kid, but didn't really watch it. I was kind of too young to actually really get into it. But after looking at these spoilers and, taking it all in, I'm actually a little bit disappointed that I'm busy this weekend and I'm not able to make it to a pre-release because, despite the IP not being a huge fan favorite, especially with OG Magic the Gathering fans, I think the cards in this set are very flavorful, very cool. They did a really good job of, not necessarily power creeping anything too crazily, but still made some mechanically unique cards, and even with some familiar mechanics with all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm really hot on some of these cards, and there's definitely a lot of these that are going to be freaking sweet in a sealed environment.
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, it's something that we've kind of mentioned before, but this is just a weird IP for them to go with. Because, like, who are they really trying to please with this stuff? Like, the Spider-Man and the Marvel stuff, like, yeah, Spider-Man didn't do very well because they had terrible cards in it, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here, right? Is Spider-Man, super popular IP, they're going to get the sales, who cares? They'll put terrible cards, put not a lot of work into it, and like more money into like securing the IP and less like effort. I don't know if it's like cost anything to have better cards, but less effort into the cards. Whereas this set, it seems like they gassed it up because they knew that it wasn't gonna be doing super well. From what I've talked to, Adam said he's not gonna actually be able to do a pre-release this weekend. I know a lot of people at my local store that are saying, I'm just not gonna go. I don't care about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, fair. I'm still gonna go because, it's a pre-release and they're always fun no matter what, even if it's a set I'm not super interested in. But these cards are, as Adam said, they're pretty juiced. They did put a lot of work into it, which is mildly annoying because I want to not like this set. I want to hate it, but they're like, no, you're gonna like this, so we're gonna make sure that's the case. So, with that, let's get into our actual guide. Adam, do you want to take us?
Quick sidebar. This strawberry soda tastes exactly like the fucking pink freeze pop, and I'm loving it.
Pink freeze pop. Where are you getting pink freeze pops from?
I've never seen a pink one.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean like the juice pops?
The long
comes in
ones.
The plastic tube.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of like the ones on the sticks. You know what I mean?
No. These are the pink ones, because those are the red ones that were okay, and then those were like cherry, and the pink ones I think were like strawberry.
Dude, I am so off of a cherry. I don't want to call it ice cream, but like cherry like freeze pops, dude. Those are not that good. Overrated in my opinion.
Yeah. And they always stain worse than the other ones.
Yeah, dude. I mean, blue flavors are the worst with that, but then it's red. It's crazy. And then it's crazy because it's like our mouths are like red, pink, whatever. But dude, nasty work. With that, shall we dive into our mechanics that we're going to see?
Let's
Adam, you care to take us through our new / returning mechanics?
Sure. So the first, I guess, mechanic is another, I guess, what's called predetermined token, called mutagen. And to quote Wizards of the Coast, it's no secret, without the ooze that mutated the turtles to begin with, their lives would have turned out differently, and I'd be writing about the Foot Clan set.
The what?
Mutagen is a new kind of token that helps your creatures achieve greater potential. Each mutagen token is an artifact with sacrifice this token to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. Of course, Mikey, being a little weird, isn't satisfied with only one +1/+1 counter and will chip in another for you. In addition to the obvious benefits of making your creatures larger, the set also has ways to reward you for controlling artifacts or having artifacts you control enter. Mutagen is great for all of this. So it's another token, like, treasures, clues, foods. But this one you can sacrifice to add 1/1 counters. I don't think this is going to be super relevant in limited, mostly due to the sorcery speed of it. But frankly, if it was instant speed activation, I think mutagen tokens would run rampant
That would
in
be
limited
crazy.
and be really,
Yeah.
it'd be really strong. If you get two of them and you just leave 2 mana open for the rest of the game, suddenly your opponents can no longer attack through anything. So
you have to pay attention to it.
So,
yeah, the one thing I'll say, the only thing that I think will make this relevant is a card that we already talked about, which was Mutagen Man, Living Ooze, which discounted your artifacts. So it would basically make your mutagen token stuff free. So if you pull that card, it's a rare, so it's not like going to be the hardest thing to see. But again, it's like if you pull Mutagen Man, it seems pretty obvious you're going to be playing, um, mutagen tokens. But outside of that, not that we won't see it, but yeah, I'm with Adam. I don't know how good it's actually going to be. We were off of this when we first saw it, so
yeah. Well, I don't think there's anything that I noticed that, like continues making mutagen tokens. So they're mostly just like they come with a creature, or they're like a one-time thing.
I think the ooze might make them.
I'm just meaning there's just like not a
Not like
lot
a lot.
of
Yeah, yeah.
stuff that can continuously makes them. It's just going to be like incidentally you'll get 1 or 2 that you can use later.
Yeah, and they mentioned Mikey. That's Michelangelo weirdness to 11. That is functionally another hardened scales with an extra line of text on a creature. So it will give you extra counters. So there's decent value pieces, but again, it's really dependent on what you have to support it. Um, but let's move on to what I think is actually, I don't know why mutagen was mentioned first, because it feels like Sneak is the big headliner of the set. You want to take us through Sneak? You seem to be very Mr. Professional. I'm trying to make it sound derogatory as if you know a lot about Yuriko and stuff. I know you don't play Yuriko, but that was where I was going with that. Go, just take it away.
So you can cast a spell for its sneak cost only during the declared blocker step
Wait.
inside of combat during your turn after blockers have been declared.
missed
I'm
a
not
lot.
reading that. I'm not reading that part. Nobody cares about that.
I'm gonna read it. Let me read it. Shouting "Cowabunga" as you run towards your enemy is flashy and makes for a good movie scene or comic panel. That's it. Go ahead.
If you cast a spell for its sneak cost, you do so anytime you could cast an instant, meaning you could cast it in response to any other spell or another spell or ability. Part of the alternative cost is listed after the sneak keyword. In Leonardo's case, there's another part to the cost. Or that's what? I don't know. You may return. Oh yeah, you also return an unblocked attacking creature you control to his owner's hand. So the way sneak works is, you pay the sneak cost, you return an unblocked attacker to your hand, only during the declare blocker step, and then you can cast that for the sneak cost. What's really cool is, and it actually mentions it in the article, is because returning the creature is a part of the cost, your opponents can't do anything about that. Like paying the cost does not use the stack, so your opponents can't like shoot your creature in response. You can even use this in response to a removal spell in declare blockers. So actually I'm glad I get this opportunity to talk about this. Because of sneak, it's going to make combat really weird. Normally you would remove creatures or use combat tricks in the declare blocker step, right? Like normally you would take things that, like, you would leave something unblocked and then before damage shoot it with something, right? But in this set now, your
block
has
block it, and then do something.
then
other
you
kind
do
of
a
trick.
combat trick. Yeah. So this is going to make combat even more confusing, because anything that's unblocked, if you try to kill it with a removal spell or something like that, your opponents can get value and sneak it back into their hand with another spell. So do make sure you watch out if you're going to try to blow something up. It sometimes, depending on how much mana your opponent has up, what colors they're in, familiarize yourself with the sneak cards in their colors probably. And, if something is getting in for damage, you probably want to destroy it during the declare attacker step. Because
Yeah.
you probably already know what you're gonna block, what you're gonna leave unblocked. It just makes it a little bit harder. So like you definitely want to destroy things more often in the declare attacker step in this limited environment.
Yeah. And the other important thing to note is you will see some cards that are not creatures with the sneak ability. Most importantly, sorceries. So they operate under the same timing rules as creatures, but since it's during the step, you still can cast them. So it's basically like casting it at instant speed in a way. So it's not like you're stuck not being able to play the sorcery because it does have the sneak. So I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but it is something that they mentioned. Obviously, you're when you're doing a spell with a sneak ability, it feels like you're kind of setting yourself back by losing a creature, but you can make use of ETB effects. Again, that's the one thing that they mentioned, so that's like one good thing about it. Adam, before we move on, do you want to just highlight the difference? I know we talked about it in our last one of our other episodes talking about these new cards, the difference between sneak and ninjutsu.
So I believe ninjutsu is just uh, I think at any point you can.
Or I think was the fix for commander. It was sneak. They made the sneak ability so that you could have a card with sneak in the command zone, but it fixed the extra cost, like the commander tax issue with commander ninjutsu. Is that what it was?
Yeah, so the main difference between these is sneak is an alternate casting cost, whereas ninjutsu is an activated ability. So that's the reason that Commander Ninjutsu works for Yuriko because you're not paying for it; you're activating the ability for a blue and a black to put it onto the battlefield. Um, and also another notable difference between the two is ninjutsu. You can actually ninjutsu in a creature after it has dealt damage because it's theoretically still unblocked as long as it obviously wasn't blocked. Um, and it's still in the cleanup step. It is still an attacking creature, so you can ninjutsu something in then, but you cannot sneak things in.
Cool. Yeah.
So
So
sneak doesn't get around cast triggers. It's you're still casting it. It's just you're returning a creature as a cost, and paying that alternate casting cost.
yeah. All right, so that does it for our new abilities. The next ones, I believe, so they're stuff that we've seen before, but I believe it's just the thing that they're doing now, where they're adding an actual keyword, like they did in the last set with like vivid, where it's something that exists already, but they're putting a keyword to it. So it's disappear and alliance. Disappear has to do with when another one of your creatures leaves the battlefield, and alliance is when they enter the battlefield. So you'll see stuff that says, so they're all triggered abilities again when a creature enters or leaves. So it's just something to be aware of. You'll see a lot of that, and that's something that they were talking about with sneak, where you can make use of leaving or enter the battlefield. It's going to be very big. You'll see a lot of these together, not necessarily with the mutagen. That kind of sits in its own world, but that that is going to be our new slash returning command mechanics to pay attention to. The other thing is classes are returning. So in case you guys don't know, those are enchantments. They enter the battlefield and you just have to pay to level them up, and then you just get that level the whole time. So you'll see a couple of those. Some of them are pretty strong. I think we've looked at them, like Ninja Team, stuff like that. There's some good ones there if you manage to pull them. With that, Adam, what do you say we move on to our draft archetypes?
Let's do this thing.
So
Let's see if
there
I
are
can make this bigger.
there are five draft archetypes, and like we normally do, we'll go through them and say which ones we're excited for. Adam, I know you're not gonna be able to do the pre-release, but we'll see how these go. I'm not super blown away by them, but we'll take a look. You want to start us off with the first one here on the list?
Yeah. The first one is Orshoff or White and Black. It's Sneaky Ninjas. Strike from the shadows with Leonardo, Splinter, and even the Foot Clan. The sneak mechanic
Me?
introduces an element of surprise, perfect for disrupting your enemy's plans. So I guess the sneak mechanic is more prevalent in White Black, which I
That
guess.
Yeah,
According to
that's
some
what
of
we
the
see.
cards that I picked, I guess that kind of makes sense.
There, I think it's on all colors, but mostly black and white. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it seems good. I mean, I do like, normally you don't have very many combat tricks in black. That's not something that's super common. So, a little bit of a color pie break there, which we'd love to see.
Dude, one thing I want to say too is, again, I'm in the same boat where I maybe watched a little bit of TMNT when I was a kid. Don't really remember a lot. There's other stuff about the Foot Clan. Like, what is the Foot Clan? There's this card Karai, Future of the Foot, that they mentioned. Like, that's crazy. That's just a crazy name. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Is that like the bad guys? Is that what Shredder is part of? Is the Foot Clan? I don't know. Are you looking it up?
Yeah,
What's the verdict? What is the Foot Clan?
it's all the bad guys.
Okay, that's a crazy name. The Foot Clan. That's just such a crazy, crazy name. Um, so if you guys are big into feet, Sneaky Ninjas might be the one for you. Okay. With with that, our next archetype is it blue red machines. It says take a cue from Donatello and invent your way out of problems by assembling robots and multidimensional artifacts into an unstoppable force. This is the big artifact um archetype. Makes sense being an is it. It's a big artifact color pairing. Says you can defeat your enemies with an army of artifact creatures. Keep an eye out for cards that care about artifact creatures. There's a lot of cards, not just artifact creatures, that just care about artifacts entering. Or I think there's a card that has like affinity for artifacts. There's some good stuff there. Mutagen tokens are going to be artifacts. You're going to have, like they said, your artifact creatures. There's a lot of stuff that they have here. I'm not. I think artifacts are good, and I think in this archetype with some of the cards we've been seeing, they will be good. Artifacts are weird in limited, so it's a good thing that it's artifact creatures. Makes it a lot more viable, I think, in the limited environment. But but we'll see how that goes. I think Is It is generally pretty decent when it comes to limited format. So we'll see how that decides to pop up. You want to take us through our next one, Adam?
Sure. Golgari, or Black and Green, is Disappear. As a party dude, Michelangelo makes Pisa disappear. Whenever a permanent you control leaves the battlefield, utilize special abilities to make your opponents disappear too. So this is obviously using the disappear mechanic. Um, you've got all kinds of things that want your permanents to leave the battlefield when they enter, or interesting things like that. So just like finding ways to return things to your hand, sneaking things out versus back in, and just getting extra value on returning creatures and returning permanents to your hand, and reusing things like that, which is, you know, not always going to be the strongest, but that still is card advantage. When you're able to use your cards multiple times, you're able to, you know, repay the mana to reuse the ability. That is card advantage. And it will, if you can, slow down an aggro deck enough and start doing this kind of value disappear stuff, you will very quickly outpace your opponent and just kind of bury them.
I'm glad. So it's weird that it's a pizza flavored archetype, what they're calling it. I just don't like it. Going back to those pizza lands, just disgusting. Everything about it I hate. I'm just happy that we're off of the graveyard stuff because I was getting so sick of it after Lorwyn, all this graveyard elves bullshit. Get that out of here. Let's do something different. So I'm happy that we're trying something new here. Our next, did I not? Oh, it's right here. Okay, our next archetype here is going to be Red White Alliance Boros. So Raphael collects a misfit band of outcasts and loners that help each other overcome any obstacle. As new members join the crew, your creatures pump up their power. This sounds pretty good to me. Boros is obviously great in limited, being an aggro thing, but just getting, I mean, ETB stuff, getting a lot of triggers off that, and just having, like, small bodies that come in and even do stuff. The big thing here is that they buff each other, so you'll see a lot of like 1/1 counter stuff in this archetype as well, where it's putting, like, it's a lot of the white cards that are putting counters on your other creatures. Very, very strong cards I've seen in white specifically. So I think that this is going to be better than Disappear, but I think they're going to work really well together. So there's no the one thing I think they were careful on this is that there's no overlap. So disappear is black, green, alliance is red, white. So I feel like they're trying to make it so you can't overlap it and do a lot. Both of these share a color with the sneak side. So when you're doing sneak, it feels like, yeah, you could go 4 colors, but you're going to be kind of, losing stuff there. You don't want to usually play 4 colors in limited, but pairing it with one of these two, you're going to get a lot of value there. But I think alliance, if I had to make a prediction, is going to be the better of the two. Adam, we have one more. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so the last one we have is Simic, which is green and blue, and Mutagen. Pull the team together with an ever-growing assemblage of mutants that use mutagen tokens to grow bigger and weirder. I mean, kind of self-explanatory. You make mutagen tokens, you sacrifice them to make your creatures bigger. Um, I'm not sure how much I've seen that I really, think that the mutagen tokens are going to be good, but I think a teamer deck is going to go pretty hard because you can use the mutagen tokens obviously to make your creatures bigger, but then you can, they count as artifacts, and I think you could see some real solid synergy between those two strategies. I definitely do think Alliance is going to be the strongest archetype just from the cards that I've perused, some of the cards that I've picked out for, to highlight. But I think mutagen could be pretty solid, especially in conjunction with machines.
It's really just going to depend, like we said earlier, it's really going to depend on your pulls. Like if you want to be strong in this color pairing, you need to have the pieces. And there's certain ones that are going to be really good. If you get like one of them, you should be set. Two of them, it's going to be over. But if you don't get those big bombs, I don't even want to call them, but that is what they are, is bombs. But if you don't get like one of those pieces, I feel like it's not going to really take you that far. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of mutagen. I think out of all of the colors, this might be the least, you know, the least prevalent one, but it has the potential to be one of the more powerful, like you were
Mm-hmm.
saying. Still, I'm with you. I would have to choose Alliance when it comes to the most powerful. I think going back the sneak mechanic, since it seems like there's the most of that, we're gonna see a lot of sneak because it'll be the easiest to get into, and it pairs better with it. Because think about it, sneak pairs good with disappear, pairs good with alliance. Mutagen doesn't really. It only pairs well with machines, so it's kind of like a 3-2 disadvantage there. But we'll see how it turns out. So that does it for all of our mechanics, for all of our archetypes. And with that, let's move on to our final part of the video. Adam and I, as usual, have picked the cards that we think are going to be the best in each rarity slot. And we have one wild card, so we have 5 cards set aside, each of us. I believe that I made you go first last time, so I can go ahead and kick it off with my common. So my common is Pain 101. It is 1 and a black for an instant. It says until end of turn, target creature gains death touch, and when this creature dies, returns to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. As we've seen before, this is a very powerful type of card. Generally, when we see this, it's almost always in black. The rate is a little higher than usual. Normally, you'd see these cards and they'd be 1 black for this ability. However, this one gives the creature death touch, which I think is massive, because if it's small, block something big, kill it, you get the thing back. It also pairs really well with your alliance and with your disappear mechanics. It hits both. And like I said, the death touch is just going to be really, really massive if you are blocking with that creature. So 2 mana.
Massive.
Massive. Wait, is there something else that's massive? I feel like there's something else that's still really massive.
I mean,
Adam,
like it's still honestly like it's still like really massive.
Adam, lift up that headband. Hey, you see this? You see this? Anyway, so I don't hate the rate. Being 2 mana, like I said, I mean, there's still some cards that are 2 mana that do this ability, but coming with that death touch, I think it's going to be really big. So this is my pick for common.
Yeah, Dude, I love that pick. I had that on my list, and that's why I picked multiple. If you pull two or three of these, you're gonna be set. Like this
Next
is
is
probably one
common.
of
It's
the
crazy.
yeah, it's one of the best removal spells. I mean, it's a value piece because there's so many ETB things, and what's cool is that card pairs perfectly with disappear because if you have a lot of the disappear mechanics are on creatures like when this enters if a permanent has left the battlefield under your control this turn, whatever it reads, you get like a body or an extra little thing, a benefit. So if you use this, you give the creature death touch, you block with it, and then it comes back. So the new ETB sees the old version of the creature leaving, so you'll actually get to proc your disappear ability with just the one card. So like you're creating a huge value swing for just 2 mana, and one of it's colorless. So like, yeah, this is gonna be a sweet card.
And the last thing with it as well. Yes, the creature comes back tapped, but if you're doing it on your opponent's turn as a blocker, then you're not really losing a whole lot, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just going to be untapped on your turn. So not a whole lot of downside that I'm seeing with this card. So I
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
Being common, you can really stack them. What do you have for us, Adam, at your common slot?
My pick is sort of another removal spell, but it's guac and marshmallow pizza.
Ugh,
One green
oh my
for a
god.
food artifact with flash. When this artifact enters, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Untap it. And then also it has the food ability where you can pay 2, sacrifice it, and gain 3 life. Mostly irrelevant. But like, holy cow, 1 mana, 2/2, untap. That's pretty big. Um, and what's awesome is so when, um, in the early game, when you want a cheap removal spell, typically they require you to have a big creature. Like if you have a cheap spell, it typically you need to have a creature that's bigger. You know, you rarely see both a buff and an untap on the same card. So like this can be such a huge tempo hit for an opponent. Um, if you're playing a game where maybe even both of you are aggro, or you only have one blocker that's kind of smaller, that's tapped, or you're just basically you're swinging and then your opponent's swinging. Neither of you have blockers. Turn 2 or 3, this could absolutely destroy your opponent because you know, they could be hitting you with a 2 or 3 mana value creature that's maybe drawing the cards or doing something like that, and you have no blockers and you only have 1 mana open. Like how many removal spells in this limited environment are 1 mana? There's very few efficiently costed things that are quite this strong. And then also the side ability of just being able to gain 3 life with it later. I think this card is yeah, this card is stupid. I think this card is really really good for an early. It's like playing an edict in Commander early game. It's just gonna set you so far ahead, and I think this card is gonna be a sleeper.
Yeah, the one thing that I have been really high on in like limited environments, and I know there's people that are gonna obviously agree with me because they have the experience, they've seen it work this way. I'm gonna do a little flashback to Lorwyn. What I think is one of the best cards from that set is Appeal to Erdu. It's 3 mana, but it has Convoke and it gives 1 or 2 creatures +2/+1. That kind of effect is super underrated as a removal spell, and I think a lot of people kind of overlook that because they're not looking at it as hold up, blockers, and then especially with that one, since it says Convoke, you can just tap them after you declare blockers. So it's essentially like a free spell to buff your creatures and control the board, because it's like you have all this control in your hand when you know how big your creatures can get, but your opponent doesn't, because you're hold like it's this information that you have, they don't, they come in, they're like, oh, you have this small creature, hey, surprise, it's way bigger. And people aren't looking at that as like a true like removal spell, but it really is. So
Mm-hmm.
those types of effects are really really nasty in limited, and people need to stop overlooking that. It is so good. So I love that pick. And again, like, dude, these cards being at common, you can have like multiple of them, and they are really game changing when you get
Mm-hmm.
them. And being 1 mana, that's crazy. All right, let's move on to my card in the uncommon slot. I think this one's really cool. And as we were talking about Alliance being the best one, this is the only Alliance card that I have, but this is the Neutrinos. It's 2 and Boros, so 4 mana for a 2/4 legendary elf rebel with flying. At Alliance, whenever another creature you control enters, the Neutrinos get +1/+0 until end of turn. And when the Neutrinos attack, exile up to one other, or up to one actually target creature, so it could be itself if you really needed to. One target creature you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. This is pretty nasty because let's say you play a big body and it has summoning sickness. Guess what? You exile it and it comes back in tapped and attacking. It's pretty gross when you think about it that way. Outside of that, I don't know how great it is when it's like a creature that you could just attack with anyway, except for the fact that Neutrinos is almost always going to get a +1/+0, so it'll basically effectively be a 3/4 when it's attacking. And all your other cards that have Alliance, there you go, you're getting your ETB. And again, it's like this, it's so crazy because it also goes with your disappear because it's leaving and then it's coming back. It's just both sides of the coin there, and it's just a little annoying that those two abilities don't share a color together, but I see why they had to do it. I see why they had to do it because this would be just so gross if you could.
They do.
And
They share white.
the other one's black and green. Black and green. This one's white and red. The sneak.
Oh,
Has,
sneak.
yeah,
Sneak.
yeah, yeah.
Sneak shares white.
So like, yeah, you could play 3 colors and dip one of the colors from the other ones. But either way, it's still pretty nasty. This is really good. Just getting rid of it's like giving something haste. But even better because you're going to be playing stuff with your ETB effects. So that's the neutrinos, I think.
Yeah, pseudo haste and extra ETBs on one card that's a decently costed body that late game, if you draw a bunch of small things, you can make it pretty big. Yeah, I think this card's gonna be an all-star in that deck.
Yeah. All right, what do you got for us at Uncommon, Adam?
So here is my obligatory efficiently costed 1-drop. This is Leonardo, Leader in Blue. Leonardo is 1 white for a 2/1 legendary mutant ninja turtle with sneak 3 generic and 2 white. When Leonardo enters, if his sneak cost was paid, creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. And then you can pay a colorless and a white and give him first strike until end of turn. That sneak ability is, I guess it's kind of relevant. Late game, you're probably not going to get through a lot of creatures, but being able to, I guess the sneak cost being 5 mana is obviously rough. Late game, it's going to be hard to get through with a creature, especially if you have a stacked up board and your opponent has a stacked up board. It's going to be hard to give your creatures that extra buff when you sneak him in. But if I'm playing in this, I want this turn 1 every single game. 1 mana 2/1, good. Savannah Lions is good. Being able to give it first strike later so you can swing turn 2 and threaten to kill your opponent's creature is so sweet. Like, I don't even care if I don't have a 2-drop and I just give it first strike and I kill my opponent's 1/1, whatever. It's sweet. This is going to pressure your opponent's board from turns 1 through 3 with 1 mana. This card's going to, and if your opponents don't block it, 1 mana, 6 damage for 3 turns. Like, that's nuts. So I'm a big fan of this one.
And I think as well, the first strike is pretty relevant and limited.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice that you can like give it, it doesn't just have it. So, you can be a little cheeky sometimes if your opponent's not paying enough attention. They forget that you can give it first strike. Because that's really like it's limited. People don't really know the cards, and they maybe look at it, but then they'll forget. When some other stuff kind of happens, you throw this down turn 1, you throw some other bigger stuff, and they just kind of forget that you have a little guy that can just get first strike.
Mm-hmm.
So
and sometimes you've got like a 1/1 flyer or a 1/1 unblockable late game that isn't really, it's putting your, maybe your opponent's low and it's putting them on like a 4-turn clock, but like obviously they're going to get removal or they're going to find some way to kill you over top of it. If you just sneak Leonardo in for that, he deals 4 damage on his own. Like 5 mana deal 4 to your opponent directly. That's not bad in this format. Like, it comes out of nowhere, hence the
especially if
sneak ability.
especially if you have other stuff unblocked alongside of it, because then it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's all
Yeah.
and same thing we were talking about before, which is it's the information you have and they don't. They'll be like, okay, I can let this one go, but then all of a sudden you're taking at least however much more damage. It's at least two per creature that's unblocked, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, with that, into our rare slot. So this is the one that I have picked out for my rares. It is Southwind Avatar, 3 and a black for a 3/4 Snake Spirit Avatar creature with Death Touch. And whenever another creature you control dies, you gain life equal to its toughness. And whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. So the second ability there, it's not crazy because in limited, it's gonna be it's only gonna be so easy to proc that. I don't know how much stuff there is in this set that really lets you gain life. But that first one is pretty big. So there's a lot of creatures there that are high on toughness. So, if it dies, oh well, like, you're getting the life back from that. The only thing that I think is not great for this. So this obviously goes with the disappear mechanic where it wants stuff leaving. You'd rather stuff either get bounced to your hand or blink it, whichever one you're trying to do. So dying isn't the greatest because there's not a lot of like graveyard stuff. Yeah, there is ways to get stuff back from the graveyard in this set, but it's not like one of the big forefront abilities, which is good. I said this earlier. I'm happy that there's not a lot of graveyard stuff here, but it's still really good. Gaining life is always great and limited when you only have 20. It's like your life is a much tighter resource. So as much life gain as you can get, you can really uh extend the cushion that you have against your opponent. So I think this one's going to be pretty relevant, but that's my pick for rare. What do you think, Adam?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. There's actually quite a few cards that let you gain life. I mean, all the tap lands gain you life. I know that
That's
we
true.
don't love those, but they're there. There's a lot of small, low to the ground things. I mean, all of the pizzas are foods that you can sacrifice to
Oh,
gain
true.
life.
Yeah.
Um, so there's definitely, um, things out there for that. So not a card to sleep on, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. What do you got for us then in your rare slot?
Let's see. So I had two, and one of them is not gonna be my wild card, but this is another Leonardo.
Hmm.
Leonardo Cutting Edge. One generic and a white for a 1/1 legendary mutant ninja turtle with sneak, one white, lifelink, and whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Leonardo. I see a world where obviously, like in these white decks, you're going to be playing, quite a few 1 CMC low to the ground creatures. There's even some 1 CMC black creatures. So I could see a world where you go first, you play a creature, and if your opponent doesn't have a turn one play that is a blocker, and or they don't block with it, I think there's a world where you don't lose the game. You just can't lose with this card because you sneak it in turn two, you hit him for one, now it's a 2/2. Next turn, you hit someone again, gain life. I mean, you're already paying 1 mana to gain a life, deal a damage, and make a 2/2. So you're already, pretty much double what the rate would be for 1 mana. And then it's gonna just keep getting bigger. I mean, incidental life link or incidental life gain on top of that is going to keep causing problems and keep making it bigger. Unless your opponents remove this thing pretty quickly, it's gonna very, very quickly outpace any kind of I mean, baseline, it's gonna get one bigger every turn. All that for a 2 mana creature that you can conditionally cast for one. I think it's freaking sweet. Like I think this card alone will just win you games.
And there's the life gain. There's some more life
Mm-hmm.
gain that'll
Yeah.
go with it.
Yeah.
So I guess I was completely wrong about there being a lot of life gain. So it seems pretty good. I think like whenever you have something that's just powerful, you can get out early. That's the biggest thing in limited because yeah, there's some big mana bombs, but you're not always going to be able to play those. Like these types of cards, you will always be able to play if you get it early. Even if you get it late, they're still really playable, and that's the biggest thing. I feel like in lore when there were a couple, there was like some low CMC stuff that maybe enter with -1 counters, but like it's tough. There's a lot more lower end of the mana curve cards here, and I like when they do stuff later into the game. They're not just kind of like a body that does something early and then it's just kind of there. It doesn't really get you a lot of value. If it keeps, you know, buffing itself up, then it makes it relevant throughout the course of the game as long as it stays on the battlefield. So your opponent really has to think hard about their gameplay, and it really puts the pressure on them to threat assess at a higher level because they need to think like, hey, this is going to be a problem, but later they're going to get something that's also going to be a problem. It's like I have to do something about this now, or else I'm not going to get a chance because then I'm just going to be overwhelmed with his girth and tonnage. That's a reference, of course, to Skip Bayless.
Mhm.
But yeah, uh, that seems like it's gonna be a very annoying card to deal with. You won't have to deal with it. You're not doing the pre-release, but awesome. All right, so in my mythic slot, this is a card I think I thought about putting it on one of our other lists, but I didn't. But I'm glad that I saved it for now because I think this is gonna be very nasty. This is Dark Leo and Shredder. It is Orzhov, so white and a black, 2 mana for a 1/3 mutant ninja turtle human. It has sneak for Orzhov, so same as its mana cost, but it does have that sneak ability. Attacking ninjas you control have death touch. Very, very good. And whenever Dark Leo and Shredder deal combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 black ninja creature token. Then if you control 5 or more ninja, that player loses half of their life rounded up. Pretty disgusting. If you can get this out late for its sneak ability, they will not see this coming. They lose half their life. So if they're big, if they're up, like there you go. Cut in half. And they're like, "Oh my god, what just happened?" You literally spent 2 mana to deal, like, let's just assume that they're at like 15 plus to deal like 8 damage to me. That is disgusting. It creates a 1/1 with it, a 1/1 effectively with death touch as long as he's still on the battlefield. It's just going to be really good. So there's a lot of ninjas. That's why I'm thinking late game when you already have that threshold of 5. You can actually
Mhm.
have 3 because he counts as a ninja. He makes another one, and then that ability triggers. So you only need to have 3 before you play this. And even if you
There's a
get
lot
it
of
out
ninjas in
early,
this set.
yeah, even if you get it out early, it's still pretty good. Like it's a 1/3 with death touch. So there's a lot of like
Mhm.
2/2s. So like there you go. Like you're killing 2/2s and he's still surviving. You can make him bigger because in white, that's one of the big things is making them bigger. So you can just keep putting counters on it. Pretty nasty. That's
Yeah.
my mythic shot. Mythic
Yeah.
choice.
No, I think you picked a good one. I looked at it briefly, but I just I don't know. Black never hits very well for me on pre-releases, but I can definitely see why that card is going to be a problem. Um, Now speaking of big mana bombs, like you were talking about a couple cards ago, I went out of my comfort zone and actually went above 3 MC for once, and I picked an absolute heater that if you pull it and you're not playing aggro, you have every reason to play this. This is Krang Utram Warlord, Utram Warlord. 9 colorless mana for a 9/9 legendary artifact creature, Utram Robot, with flying, trample, indestructible, and haste. And other artifact creatures you control have flying, trample, indestructible, and haste. I want to be honest, you don't need that second ability. You're getting a 9/9 that is immediately swinging with indestructible. There is no amount of mana that your opponents can have open there's nothing that your opponents can do to stop this in instant speed. There's no exile remove. There's no removal in this limited environment that can stop this from happening. If you can get 9 mana, the game is over. I mean, in addition to the fact that this makes all of your other creatures untouchable. Like, I don't think you understand. This type of ability is like this is uncharted territory. Most things that give your board it's like saying your board has hexproof and then giving hexproof to the thing that gives your board hexproof. Like there are cards that do this. Like I think Aegis Angel gives your board indestructible, but
Yeah,
the
there's a
angel
yeah,
doesn't
so
have indestructible.
it's a lot of
You
angels that do
rarely,
this. Yeah.
yeah, you never see a creature that gives your board indestructible and is indestructible in itself. And this goes in every deck. This is super easy to just slot in, huge top end. If you pull this card,
You have to play it.
you
Like, it's
have
not even
you
a
have no
question.
excuse to lose games if you win this card or if you pull this card. If you pull this card, do not play aggro, play control, play slow, and then just slam this card turn 9. Just see you next round. Yeah.
And it's actually crazy. So I looked at this one, but my only thought was, dude, 9 mana. Like, how often are you going to get it out? Like, it is going to be tough because you do have to last long enough to play it. But let's think back a little bit on a card that you said you. I swear to God, you said you were going to build it. I'm not hearing things. It was that Raphael that when it takes damage, you add that much red mana. Like,
Mm-hmm.
guys, there's ways to get this out before turn 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's not impossible. It is not
There's
impossible.
creatures that tap for mana in this set. There's
So yeah, it is pretty nasty because like there's just all these keywords. I think Adam really did it justice by saying that if you pull this card, you shouldn't be losing. Um, that okay. If this card is on your battlefield, you should not lose the game. Like that, like it should just be impossible that you lose the game. But getting there is just going to be the only hurdle that you have to jump over. But if you pull this, there's all these removal spells that we already looked at today. It's like there's plenty of pieces. You're gonna have the pieces. Like, forget everything else. I don't care if you get like a rare that's trying to send you in a different direct. Like Adam said, there's no other direction. This goes in every deck. Build around this card, and that's just
mm-hmm.
period.
There's
Period.
10 cards in this set that tap for mana, and a few of them that tap for more than one.
Wait, Adam, what's that thing that the girls do? There's like something they say. They're like, yes, or they do like the little finger tap. Play this card. I don't
I've
know,
never seen that.
dude. Damn it, because I'm not even gonna know what it like. I don't know. It's just something that like they do now. Like,
I don't talk to women.
yeah, me
I play
neither.
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, yeah, we win. We win Magic games. There's no time for women.
Win? Who
Oh,
what is this
sorry.
win
Am I
stuff?
getting am I getting too far? Okay.
I mean, you win. Maybe you win.
But yeah,
Takes one of us.
with that, we have our wild card slots now to round out for the day. I picked another rare in my wild card slot. I don't know how good it is, but it's just something I feel like I wanted to talk about. So this is why he's in my slot. This is Savanti Romero times Exile. It is 3 and 2 black for a 4/4 legendary demon wizard with trample. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on him, and then you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of counters on Savanti Romero. So it's in black, which is outside of the mutagen colors. But that's not to say that there's no way to put 1/1 counters on it, because a lot of the colors are going to do this. It has trample, very very good. The only thing that's holding it back is the fact that you lose the life. So you have to be very careful with it. And the but there's two sides of this coin, right? Number one, it just happens at the beginning of combat. Whenever I talk about Azuri, that's like my biggest thing to say about how good it is you don't have to. It's just I love those combat triggers that just happen at the beginning where you don't have to attack. It's pretty nasty because then you don't have to like risk this creature like swinging into something that's going to get it killed. It's just you get to do it at the beginning of combat without even having to attack. So I think that there's a lot of value there. But this is not a May ability. So once you put this down, you don't have a choice. You are loot so you are drawing the cards good, but you are losing the life. Now it's at least it's not based on its power.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a number of counters on it, so it is going to scale. So you do have to be a little bit careful with that. I'm like we were saying, there's some life gain, there's some other things, but let's assume that you have this out for 3 turns, because again, it doesn't have haste, but it doesn't need haste. It just happens at the beginning of combat. So the turn you play it, draw a card, lose life. Then you draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Draw 3 cards, lose 2 life. So you're drawing, what is that? 6 cards in 3 turns. How are you going to lose the game?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you're down 6 life, but like you have 6 cards in your hand more than you should, and you, are again, how can you lose the game at that point? Because that's the biggest thing about limited is like you can burn out super quickly, but it's like not anymore. So that's my pick. I think it's going to be very
what's the
relevant.
CMC on this one?
5.
5. Let me show you something better.
Is that what you have in your?
No, but there's another rare. Well, half rare, half mythic. April O'Neil Hacktivist. 3 generic and a blue for a 1/5 at the beginning of your end step. Draw a card for each card type among spells you've cast this turn. I think by the time you're at 4, you've got 4 mana available. Obviously, like you cast her, so you're going to be at least drawing 1 card on your end step, and then you can pretty comfortably cast 2 spells a turn that are different card types. So you can pretty reliably draw 2 cards with her. So you're about the same rate, 1 less mana, and you don't lose the life.
Yeah, but I mean,
Not
this
a-
one's also good because he
one to
starts
look out
off
for.
it starts off as a 4/4 and it gets bigger and it has trample. I think because the trample is the big
Yeah,
thing.
that is a valid.
Yeah, I did kind of glaze over that fact that it's going to get bigger and it has trample, which is just
Yeah, it is a threat too.
so
That's
good, so
valid.
good.
It's like it is putting you on a clock, but also, I mean, it's an efficiently costed body, so you're going to be putting your opponents on a clock too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's a good point.
So,
I went the exact opposite direction with my with my wild card. You know me, I like my efficiently costed creatures. I have picked the third Leonardo of the day, Leonardo Big Brother. Notably, this is a legendary common. And I think if I ever decide to build a popper deck, I think this would be a really cool addition. This would be a really cool commander. Leonardo Big Brother is.
Sorry, you're actually in Popper. You can use uncommon or
Yeah,
uncommons.
yeah, I know.
Okay, but
I'm just saying, like, this is legal to be a popper commander as well.
yeah,
But,
true.
So Leonardo Big Brother is 2 generic and a white for a 1/3 with sneak for 1 white. And it gets +1/+0 for each other creature you control. This card, if you pull this card, build around this card. It's a common. I don't know why they printed this at common. This should at the very least be an uncommon. You can sneak it out for 1 mana. So, turn 2, if you have a 1/1 body, it's almost like there's a lot of those in white. You play a 1 CMC creature turn 1, sneak this in turn 2. I mean, this thing gets huge quick. You can recast the creature that you snuck this in for later, make it bigger. This card is going to scale. Like I said, it's a common, so you have a very strong ability to pull multiples of these. So as soon as your opponent knocks out your Leonardo, I'm going to sneak in another one. Like, this card, again, like all the Leonardos are going to be problems. Like, if you pull really any of the white Leonardos, like, I mean, not much else to say. Like, you're going to be dealing some pretty serious damage and causing big problems.
Yeah, that is pretty nasty. It's crazy because that's the third Leonardo on your list.
Mm-hmm.
It almost makes me wonder. It's like, can we like rate the turtles? I'll tell you, I didn't see any Donatellos that seemed to scream out that they were any good. The Michelangelos seemed pretty good, but I mean,
The Donatellos are going to be better in Commander, I think.
Yeah, but that's just because I was looking at like the 1/1 counter stuff. So Michelangelos are going to be good in Commander as well. Yeah, these Leonardos seem crazy good in Limited, and then the Raphael. I'm big on the Raphael because I really like that one with the that makes the mana. But a lot of the Raphaels are also really good, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, these Leonardos are just disgusting. I mean, 1 white, dude. Already. I mean, can you really call it like 1 white for a 1/3? Because I guess you're losing a creature, so it's like 1 white and a creature for a 1/3. It's not the worst, but dude, just getting proc for each other, like that's gross.
Scales,
Even just play, yeah. Even just playing this like on cost, like let's assume that you get a 1 drop out, you get a 2 drop out, and on turn 3 you have a 3/3. That's already a good rate, and it's just going to keep getting bigger.
Yeah, and it's not just like when it attacks or when it's tapped or whatever. It's forever, so it's a good blocker too.
Yeah. The only thing that's like holding it back is that it just stays at 3 toughness, which is still pretty relevant. 3 is decent. 3 is a decent size. And in white,
3
yeah,
is a magic number.
they get it.
Hey.
Yeah. No, but
That's a deep cut.
yeah. Um but no, I mean in white you can make it bigger anyway. So dude, this card it's just
You know, maybe I have talked myself into do if I'm not busy Saturday, maybe I'll get Jared and we'll go to a pre-release. Maybe.
well, it's it's funny cuz my LGS, the one that I usually go to for pre-releases, it does 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then it does one on Monday and Thursday the week after, which is
Wow.
awesome. Yeah, which is awesome because I usually always do the Friday one. I might do one of the other two on the weekend, but it's like even on the weekend, though I'm not really doing a lot. Um, I just don't like feel like doing it like every day. So it's really awesome to do it like during the week because Mondays is when they have Commander night anyway. So I'll just go
Mhm.
and just do a pre-release, and it's great because there's not a lot of people. I like the pre-releases with not a lot of people. I don't love the pre-releases that are like super super full and like tons of people because that's when all the sweats come out that you can like and that's a double entendre because they're sweats and they're also really sweaty. Pu it do be smelling on
Mm.
Fridays sometimes. It do be smelling Fridays. But
What are there Yu-Gi-Oh
yeah,
players in there?
uh, Riftbound players.
Really?
No, dude, no,
Oh
genuinely.
man.
No, I told you. This is why I got into One Piece was because, dude, those Riftbound players, they smell, dude, because they're just league players. They're all league players that are come out of the basement to come play a card game now, dude. Do not, stay away from the LGS on Riftbound nights, guys. Um, that's my word of advice for the day.
Dude, you're just calling out sideboard therapy, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Andrew, Graham, I'm sorry. Um,
Mm.
but I'll be honest, it's like PU, not you guys, but man. But I don't think they play league, so it's okay. It's just it's the league players that play Riftbound, and
Mhm.
you can tell that's a combo. With that, that does it for our pre-release guide. Hopefully, this helps you if you are doing the pre-release. Let us know because it seems like there's not a lot of interest in this one, which like
Definitely not on my LGS.
yeah, understandable with the IP, but it still is like a Magic set. And like think about all the people that were doing Spider-Man, even though that set sucked. This set is
Mhm.
good and people aren't doing it. It's almost like they're just not looking at the cards, which like I get it. It was a while where I just
It's the
wasn't looking at
IP.
cards. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like come on. I mean, it's still going to be good. They did a good job with this set. They really did. I hate to say it, but and of course I'm going to support it. So still looking out for Star Trek. That's just me. With that, any other thoughts, Adam, before we sign off for today?
Yes, one last thing. Escape tunnel. I totally forgot to talk about this. They're reprinting escape tunnel as a common land. Do not fall into the escape tunnel trap. Do not use escape tunnel to make your creatures unblockable. Use it as the evolving wilds as it is intended. Do not use it to make your creatures unblockable. You will be losing so much tempo when you're losing a land. The only way you should ever use escape tunnel is if your opponent is almost dead and you need to like get 2 damage in to kill them. That's the only time you should use it. Do not use escape tunnel to make your creatures unblockable. You will lose tempo and you will lose games. Thank you.
I'm gonna say period. I'm gonna do the finger thing. Period.
Period. Is that what that is?
I don't think. No, I think it's
We
a
gotta start
different
talking to
word,
women
dude.
or
It's a
something.
different word.
We gotta, we
I
gotta,
don't know.
we gotta get out more.
I don't know. They kind of scare me a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just play Magic. Yeah.
Yeah, but with that, again, best of luck to you guys, and hopefully you enjoy this set. I hate to say that I am, I guess, excited for this one. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next time when we do a Commander tier list. And
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see you next time.
Later, guys.